And we are live. So let me go ahead and just check and make sure we're showing up on Facebook. I'm not Facebook, but YouTube. Is that that's how we do that. Yep, we are live.
All right.
Very good. So, all right, so we are again live on YouTube Live. We are broadcasting from our page, and I am really happy to have with us today Amber Wentworth. I ran into her on Twitter on Lone Star Keto Girl, and it's lone underscore star underscore keto, right? Is how your Twitter account is.
I think it's all ran together.
Well, I just checking it. I think it's, but anyway, look up Lone Star Keto and you'll find Amber there on Twitter. That seems to be the best place right now. I've been able to find you. You also have your website, right? Which is LoneStarKeto.com. Is that correct?
Yeah, lone-star-keto.com. That's where the dashes came in.
That's where the dashes came in. But and your email is also So we've got we run the same thing. It just depends on how you try to communicate. There's different ways to do it, and
for sure
we live in that realm. But anyway, so I'm Kevin. This is Shauna. When we kind of get our intro ourselves here, we have been doing keto since August of 2018.
Right.
Shauna's lost 57 pounds. I've lost 80 pounds. And the way we have done it is we have used Dr. Eric Westman's approach, which is the, eat 20 grams of carbs a day or less, eat fatty cuts of meats and vegetables until you're full, non-starchy vegetables, of course, and then don't eat when you're not hungry. And that's about as complex as it gets, right? For us. And so that's what's really worked for us. It's been simple.
Simplified.
Very simple. And so we aren't these like, you have to have, 75 grams of percent of fat. And pretty much we just look at the low carb approach. And that, really extremely low carb approach, right? We've done low carb in the past where we did, we were doing under 100 carbs or 150 carbs. We did lose a little bit of weight, but we were not able to maintain. So by being very strict, but eating lots of meat, we've been able to be successful in that regard. So Amber, tell us about yourself. Tell us about how you got into all this and what your passions are.
Well, I am a born and raised Texan, at least 5th generation. I married my high school sweetheart, which I think we have in common, Shauna. I was 15 when I met my husband, and we have 2 kids. We have a 25-year-old son and a 26-year-old daughter who has given us a grandchild.
Beautiful.
And I'm lucky enough to be able to keep her during the week when I was at work. And my passions are definitely my family, obviously. But the other passion I have is wanting to help people. It's a big thing for me to get that information out there to help those so they don't have to go through what I had to go through with my whole weight struggle, health issues, etc. It was a long journey for me. 40 years it took to come to the place I am right now. And if I can help somebody to shorten that and get to the point quicker where they're healthier and happier, that would be my biggest passion ever is to be able to do that. And because of keto and having my health back and not being embarrassed about my body to be seen in public, I'm able to enjoy the things that give me a lot of pleasure, like boating and going to the lake and the beach, hello bathing suit, that was a drama thing for me. And now it's not. I'm like, okay, I can do this. I don't care. And so, to go out on the beach and not worry about having these cover-ups or wearing shorts or, all that kind of thing. It's a huge thing for me. And we go boating a lot now, and we go dancing every weekend, which is so
nice.
And it's something I always wanted to do, but I didn't because, good gosh, like I wanted this big old body to be out on the dance floor, everybody looking, going, wow, how was he going to get her to turn, kind of thing. That was embarrassing. And there's no way I would have done that. And now, we go out there on the dance floor. We don't even care. We just do our thing and have a blast every weekend. And, I feel like I have my life back now. And so...
That's awesome. We
fantastic.
salute you on your efforts. And so let me see if I can share my screen, because I captured some of your pictures from Instagram, and I wanted to show your transformation.
Amazing.
It is amazing. So
Thank you.
Let me know. So there's one picture of before and after. Let's see this here, and then there's the other one. Are you able to see that,
Gorgeous.
Amber?
And that's me right before going dancing. So there you go.
Oh,
All
nice.
right. And here's somebody showing what you lost on keto. You know, but that's just amazing.
Oh, so you were pre-diabetic too. Very
Yes,
nice.
I was. Yes.
Mm-hmm. There's another one. And these are just amazing.
And that's
You don't look
really
52.
sad story. That right there, I was asked to be a bridesmaid, maid of honor in my best friend's wedding. I turned it down because I was embarrassed. I wish I could take that back, because that was my best friend. And,
Right.
you know, I was humiliated. I didn't want to be in pictures. I mean, my gosh, look at me. Imagine me in a cute little, bridesmaid's outfit. No. And
Yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from. Been there myself, and then the finally here, where you kind of talk about your journey, where you started off, in your late 40s, you lost a good weight, just doing kind of like us,
Yes.
the ways we did. We've all done it, right? We all yo-yoed up and down until we found the proper human diet.
I was a queen of the yo-yo dieting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. We've definitely been there as well. So there we go. So I'll stop sharing there. But yeah, those are astounding, transformations before and after pictures. That's really great. So can you tell us about, what your methodology or how you practice keto? Because I mean, there's more than one way to do keto, right? How do you do keto?
Absolutely. I will say that from when I started to where I'm at now is a huge difference. It's been a progressive kind of thing. I started out really just kind of cutting out some of the things I knew were bad, bread, pasta, but I didn't really think of it as anything like low carb or whatever. It was just something sugar, you cut out. And that's where I had started. And then I was kind of like, I was like, okay, I'm going to try this low carb thing.
Yeah.
That's one diet, believe it or not, I've never done, because guess what? That wasn't something you're taught that's a good thing to do. You're supposed to cut your calories. You're supposed to cut your fat. You're supposed to eat good carbs. And so that's what I had followed since I was 10 years old. And so, I thought, I'm going to just give this a chance. I'm going to give it a chance. And wow, I'm going to just tell you, the first week, within just a few days, I looked at my husband and I was like, oh my God, I feel amazing. I am not hungry. I am not thinking about food.
It's liberating.
I can live like this. I can actually live like this for the rest of my life.
Right.
And he's kind of like, whoa, okay. And it wasn't long after that, I kind of stumbled into keto by accident. I never heard of that. I didn't even know what that was. And I was like, well, why not? This is super easy for me. So I started cutting out more, and I started limiting below the 20, carbs a day. And I had even bigger results. I felt even better. And I technically started keto June 12th, 2017. And within 8 months, I had lost 62 pounds. It was, I don't want to use this word effortless, but comparatively to my 30 years of doing it the other way, it was like a miracle. It was like this awesome thing that dropped into my lap by accident that I would have never tried. And, to me, anyway, I guess my progression, anyway, I got more strict about keto as I went along. The more I learned, I read tons of books. I listened to blogs. I listened to, all kinds of different things and learned as I went along, like seasoning I was using had sugar in it. I'm like, what? And so I started really paying attention to stuff like that and cutting all that out. And then, of course, like I think probably most people, you get into that excitement of being able to replicate your old food that you used to eat. with keto friendly things, like cakes and all those good things. And I did that for a while, and it's fun. I admit it. I'm a creative person. I like to make up recipes. I like for my family to be happy with what they're eating and be excited about what they're eating. That's a typical mother, right?
Right.
And so I did that whole thing. I wish I had a picture now to show you of what my baking center looks like. I have everything keto you could imagine. And now I have cut back so much on everything. I'm keeping it more simple. I stopped kind of doing more things like that and eating more simply. And then I started hearing about this carnivore thing. And I'm like, well, I've lost my weight. I've been maintaining over a year. But there's a few issues that I haven't completely cleared up. One is rosacea. Now, it's improved greatly on keto. Don't get me wrong. I no longer have these little blistery things on my face. And one of the pictures you flashed, you can see how bad my rosacea was. But now I just have some redness, but I want that gone. And plus I am still on just a little bit of a blood pressure medicine. I used to take 3 plus a diuretic, very high doses. Now I take a very small dose of 1, and I'm about to get off that. So I want to just, complete my healing, I guess. So I thought I'm going to give carnivore a try. And I've been doing that. I want to say now it's like 36 days or something like that. And I started out not real strict carnivore. I allowed myself cheese and, all that kind of stuff. That is still kind of okay. But now I'm kind of whittling that away as I get closer and closer. And I'm pretty much right now doing meat, really. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And we'll see if I can get off that last little bit of medication and my rosacea clears up.
Wow.
Those are
That's
the two
awesome.
things,
Yeah, that's really great.
That is fantastic.
Our journey is, almost again identical to what you went through there. I mean, we started off, like I said, we did low carb for a while. Also, did have some success at that. Then we went through some pretty stressful times, and that undid all of our our good work there. But then we found, True actually, the keto protocol last August, and just like that, we were just like everybody else, carb addicts, right? So we did the same thing. We started doing the keto baking, and I think that's
how most of us evolve.
Yeah, that's a normal progression, right? I mean,
I agree. Absolutely.
You have to replace your breads, your mashed potatoes, and those type of things because
you miss them. And
you always told yourself you could never do without them, right? I could never.
Yeah, for sure.
But within a couple months after that, as you start realizing that keto bread isn't really all that really great anyway.
No, it's not. That's the one substitution.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, it gets you by, right, to help you get through that bread craving, but it's not really great. Same thing with the desserts. After a while, it's just it's okay.
Don't need that.
Once you start eating real food,
I kind of finally got to that point where I don't really care about that anymore. I don't really care about food, to be honest with you. I'm not saying I don't enjoy my food. I do. And okay, I look forward to my bacon. I'm not going to lie. But for the most part, food, I'm like, it's not that big of a deal.
I think the way to look at it now is that food is fuel. Food is life. You don't live to eat. You eat because you're eating. And so I think that's kind of it's a repairing of our relationship with food.
I totally agree. Yeah, and boy, mine needed to be repaired. I'm not even going to kid you. I used to live for food. It was like I would eat my first meal and then I'm thinking about my second one,
Right.
Yeah, you're planning your next meal before you're done with the current one, or you're planning about tomorrow and the whole thing. So, yeah, this has been a big deal for us because until you repair your relationship with food, you're never going to be able to maintain the weight loss.
I agree.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the thing with that is in order to be able to maintain your relationship with food, you also have to repair your appetite. And as you said, when you first started in extreme low carb, it's the first thing you notice that, hey, I'm only hungry once or twice a day.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what we've learned and what we've been trying to help pass on to people.
People don't believe us.
Yeah, people don't believe you. I mean,
I wouldn't have believed it. I mean, I get it. I totally get it. I mean, when you do something for so long and you're told that is the right way to do it, the only way to do it, it's hard for you to comprehend that perhaps there's another way. And maybe it just kind of fixes all the issues that you had to begin with that got you in that place where you're at anyway.
Right.
And it's kind of mind boggling. I get it.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I also want to invite you because as I said, we have several Facebook groups, but one of them is, I mean, you said you had the rosacea. I don't know if that's autoimmune related or not, but we have a keto for autoimmune diseases, and that's one of the things that people will share. Like I said, we have over 400 members there, and it's amazing how many people will tell you that I'm feeling so much better now. My symptoms are gone. Not saying that this is the cure-all for everything, but just coincidentally, as people have changed their diet, they notice that they're feeling better.
Kind of like my lupus rash disappeared.
Shauna, her lupus rash, which is a lot like your rosacea type thing, right? It's gone. She can spend time out in the sun now, right? Whereas before, she stood by the window, she'd get a lupus rash.
Yeah.
So
I had that issue too.
I stayed inside a lot.
Mine was mainly because I was taking a medication, like the blood pressure medication, and it has like a sun sensitivity issue element to it. And I would burn so easy, where I used to be able to stay out in the sun forever because I used to be a sun worshiper before I was a recluse. And, all of a sudden I started burning all the time. And I'm pretty sure it's that stupid medication. And so I'm so excited to get off of it. And, I can't wait to see what this summer is like. Now that I'm carnivore plus, getting off that medication, I'm just really hoping that I don't have the same issues as I had before, because I don't want to use sunscreen.
Right.
I don't mind staying in the shade and things like that, but
yeah, I found one more thing, and this is totally anecdotal, but so my blood pressure, I noticed it started at first, it dropped down to normal, and then I noticed it started creeping back up a little bit. So I tried something else. One thing, I started taking a potassium supplement, just like 200 milligrams a day, which, there's definitely a relationship between potassium and blood pressure. I mean, that's nothing controversial there. But the other thing was apple cider vinegar. And I did not expect this to work at all, right? So I started taking, putting like a cap full and a little bit of water and drinking that twice a day. I mean, it doesn't taste great. You can actually, you can buy the pills too. You can buy some apple cider vinegar pills. But my blood pressure actually dropped too low when I was on medicine. So I had to actually get off the meds as a result of that. And I keep checking it. And the exact same thing happened to my brother as well. He didn't believe me. And I said, please don't believe me. Just try it. And if it works for you, great. If not, you haven't lost anything. You had a little apple cider vinegar. And sure enough, he had the same result. So, I mean, I think that's kind of a cool thing. It's a lot better than medicines.
Yeah, I actually did a lot of apple cider vinegar. I haven't so much in the last several months. I don't know why. It just kind of faded out for whatever reason. But I could pretty much just take a shot of it. I didn't, because I was worried about the acid on my teeth. But I would put it in water. But I'm telling you, I could drink that stuff straight.
Yeah, I would dilute it a little bit just for your teeth and your esophagus purposes. I mean, just to be on the safe side. Or you can try the pills. I think it comes like 100 pills for like $6 or $7 if that's something you need to do. And
I used to take that on cruises with us. That way it was just easier instead of lugging my apple cider vinegar. Although I did on cruises take those little bitty apple cider vinegars that you can buy in like a 6-pack or a 4-pack. I think it's 4-pack, but they're a little tiny. And so I could just like pour some in my water. But now I just bring the pills in case I need it, like acid reflux or whatever, because that really helped me a lot for that as well.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of benefits there, and I did look it up too. I just thought this seems weird, and I did. There is a study that shows it's help people, on PubMed. So I'm like, okay, well, there is something to this as well. It's not just all woo. They can't explain necessarily why, but it just does seem to help some people, and so there is that. So 2 years you've been on keto. You said about now?
Yes, almost. June 12th will be the keto anniversary.
So how much did you lose overall?
Well, if you want to say my whole weight loss journey, like, I don't know if you can see this picture right here.
Yeah.
This right here was at my heaviest.
Mhm.
I have no clue what I weighed because I wasn't about to step on a scale at that point in my life. I'll just tell you. But I'm going to guess it was probably somewhere around 240 pounds. I'm guessing might have been higher, but we'll just go with 240.
Mhm.
And as we've said, I did the whole yo-yo thing, even one time losing 100 pounds at a time. I don't have problem losing weight. I don't. I have crazy willpower. I can drop the weight. I kill myself doing it, but I can do it. But every single time I would gain some back. But luckily I would catch myself before I got back to that size
Mhm.
and lose it again. And then I would gain and then I lose again, but never quite getting up to that top weight.
Right.
When I started keto, I weighed 180. God,
Mhm.
that's embarrassing enough to say.
Mhm.
And I dropped 62 pounds. I got down to 118 and I'm kind of hovering right around the 120 mark, 122
Mhm.
somewhere in there, and maintaining it for over a year now. It took me 8 months to do that.
Yeah.
It was pretty consistent. I think it was like 1.5 to 2 pounds a week, which is
Mhm.
where you want to be.
Sure.
I didn't struggle really as far as having major stalls or anything like that. I mean, sure, there were weeks where I didn't lose, or there was even a couple of weeks where I gained a little. And
Right.
I'm not gonna lie, that's bothersome. I mean,
Mhm.
you're so addicted to the scale, or at least I was. And to me, the scale was the end all, get all of weight loss. I mean, you worship the scale. And, when it was good, that was awesome. When it was bad, oh, it's not good. That was going to be a bad day, bad week for me. But, I don't weigh really too much anymore because of that issue. I know I have an issue with the scale. It's better than it used to be, absolutely, but it can still dictate how I feel. So I try not to focus too much on that. In my heaviest, this picture right here, I wore like 24, 26 size.
Mhm.
That's like a tent, right? And now I wear a 0 to 2.
Right.
Huge
It's
difference.
amazing. Yeah.
Huge.
That is huge difference.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And I hear you. The scale can be depressing even for me. I mean, as a guy, I still feel like I get dictated by it. But then I also realize that it's true that you can within one day gain or lose 4 pounds
Oh yeah, absolutely.
based on water,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, and as a female, you will probably have even bigger variations than a guy, as for, depending on your hormones.
True.
What water, how much water you're going to retain or not retain.
You definitely
My
don't
husband was the worst.
fast.
He
Mhm.
can weigh like completely different from day to day. And I'm like, what in the world? And he's like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's true. I mean, so Shauna was gone for 2.5 weeks up in, to see her grandkids and her daughter up in Washington. And I did. I didn't do anything different. I gained 4 pounds while she was gone. And
He was
then,
depressed. He missed me.
yeah,
That's
it
what
could be
it is. Absolutely.
stress, right? I'm a little bit stressed missing her. But I really didn't sweat it because I know that, it's 4 pounds that's a normal range that I could do within a couple of days.
Right.
So it's no big deal. So she came back and then it went back down to where it was after a couple of days, but it's just how it is. And I also realized that, I'm still about 30 pounds from my initial goal. So the closer I get to my goal, the harder it's going to be to lose an ounce, right?
This is true. Yes, absolutely.
It's just, normal physics. And it's like anything else. The further you are away from, the center of gravity, the easier it is, acceleration works. Well, as you get closer to it, things slow down, etc. So, and that's what people got to realize. People realize that even if you stall for 2 weeks, okay, well, just keep doing what you're doing because sometimes it just your body takes time.
It's frustrating. I'm not going to lie. It is. I
Mhm.
mean, I get people who get frustrated with that, but for me, I now understand you have to look at the bigger picture, the longer picture,
Overall health.
not just, and it's not just about weight loss. I mean, you get healthy to lose weight, not lose weight to get healthy.
Right.
You have to correct that underlying issue before you can expect to be able to allow your body to do what it needs to do. And that's something I really had to learn, because, I'm just like, okay, well, I'm cutting this many calories, I'm doing this, that, I'm exercising crazy, but I didn't lose, this whole calorie in, calorie out. Okay, I burned this many calories, I've taken in this many calories, I should have lost this many pounds. Well, guess what? Your body don't work like that. You got hormones. It's got its own agenda. It doesn't care about what you look like on the outside. That's not its goal. Its goal is to heal and to protect and to, make sure your body is functioning. And if you don't give it what it needs to be able to function, it can't do its thing. So you can't expect it to, show up on the scale like you want it to. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's one of the things that we have to kind of learn is, basically not all calories are equal, right? Your body is looking for, nutrition as well.
Exactly.
And I think that's part of the thing, right? If you eat the right kind of calories that are right nutrient density, that are bioavailable, your body, I think that's part of the satiation response, right? It says, okay, I've got what I need. Whereas if you eat 1,000 calories of Twinkies, it doesn't, it's empty of nutrition, and so your body.
You're hungry right away again, anyway. So it's
right.
Yeah.
Same thing with rice or flour, these type of things. So
very vicious.
Yeah. So by eating, more meat, which is nutrient dense,
yes,
your body, it's not just about the protein, it's about your body's getting what it needs. And so it says, okay, I'm good. I can wait a while, and I probably won't need it again for, 12, 16 hours, because I've got plenty of fuel and plenty of building blocks to build the muscle and the cartilage or whatever else that you need comes from that. And that's one of the things that people don't realize. It's not just about cutting calories. You want to eat the right kind of calories.
Yes. Yeah. It makes a huge difference. It's through this journey with keto, pretty much within the first, I don't know, probably 2 months, I got to the point where I couldn't even think of eating breakfast, and I really didn't want to eat lunch. And I ended up doing OMAD without really understanding it was a thing.
Yeah.
And then the more I learned about intermittent fasting, I was like, oh, hey, I'm doing that. I just didn't see any point in stuffing my face if I didn't want it. I physically didn't want it. I couldn't have made myself eat. I don't know, maybe I could have, but the thought just kind of made me go, bleh,
Right.
I didn't want it.
Yeah, when you're satiated, that's what happens, right? It's like, it's not a feeling of feeling like your stomach is full and ready to blow up. It's more of just your body's telling you. You actually get repulsed by the idea of food all of a sudden.
Right? Yeah, it's kind of like that, and I would have never been able to understand that until I experienced it. So you can tell people that, but they don't get it. It's all about, like you said, the full feeling in your stomach because you eat quantity.
Right.
But it's so not that. If you eat the right foods, even or at the right time for that matter, it makes all the difference in the world. Like now, food doesn't rule me anymore. It used to seriously rule my life in one way or another, and now I'm addicted. I don't have that addiction anymore. I'm addiction free, and it feels like this big weight off my shoulders, and I feel like I can live my life now, and I don't have to worry about that issue. And like I hear some people say, which I think this is interesting, like they're around their friends, like they go out to a conference, and they're worried about where they're going to get food. How are they going to survive without 2 hours without eating? And oh my goodness. And the person's like, well, gee, I don't really even need to eat. So, it's all good to me. If I don't eat until tonight, it's all good. And that's pretty much how I am now. It's like, really, you have to worry so much about food. I feel kind of sad for people who have, that mentality, like going out on a boat for, a day and being worried that you're not going to eat, like now my husband and I, because he does the same as me. He's not carnivore, but he is keto. He can go a little while, without eating, and he's not overly concerned about food. And we bring this just little ice chest that has just some, stuff for, to nibble on.
For whenever. Yeah.
Yeah. Just this little stuff in water.
Just in case.
It's no big deal.
Right. Yeah, I know one of the things that we started doing when we first going, seeing how long we could go without eating. I mean, we've never gone more than 24 hours, but we always, if we do like a long hike with the dogs or do any exercise, I try to make sure I do it during that fasting period. And like
Yes.
we did I think it's a 6 mile hike
Right.
a couple months
Oh,
ago.
that's awesome.
And all I did was I took some sardines and some nuts with us just in case.
Right.
And we didn't eat them.
Yeah.
We didn't need them. But the thing is, just in case you do run into a problem where you need that energy, because that's what we're eating for now is energy and fuel,
Absolutely.
not so much because you
All we
enjoy
needed
it.
was the water.
You just needed the water. And that's really been the big thing of it. So it's great that your husband is helping you out with this. That
Yes.
was really great. So did you face any struggles with your family as you were getting started? Did you?
Actually, my immediate family, like my children, my husband, and my mom's living with us here too. I have had really no struggle with my immediate family.
Mhm.
There has been a little bit of struggle with some family members, and it's more like because they don't understand it, because they still buy into what we've been told for so many years, which I get it because I was that person too until I researched and I learned about it and I experienced it. I get it, but there's been some comments said. When I go places, I will bring my own food. I don't expect anybody to cater me. That's fine.
Mhm.
You eat your way, I eat my way. I don't have a problem with that. I'll bring my own. I don't force my way of eating on anybody. If I'm asked, I give, my information, whatever.
Mhm.
But I don't shove it down anybody's throat. But I have got a little bit of pushback on that. And I found that kind of interesting because why? I mean, do you not see? Look at the results. Look, I'm happy. They've seen me lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, but I've been able to maintain over a year now. I'm
Right.
happy. I go dancing. I'm living life. I mean, why would anybody have a problem with that? Especially over a way of eating that embraces whole foods. I
Right.
mean, you're eating whole foods that are good for you. You're getting rid of the poison, the processed foods. It boggles my mind. But then again, I was that person too. So there you
Well,
go.
and I get it because I know, we have family members have the same issue, and we know deep inside it's their fear of trying they won't be able to give up the processed foods, right? And I was there too. I mean,
Oh yeah, me too.
we've all been there, like, well, I can eat in moderation and those type of things. I don't need to do this extreme thing that you're doing.
Yeah, extreme thing, eating healthy.
Yeah, so right. So I don't eat Pop-Tarts for breakfast, but I'm extreme.
Yeah, right. I know it boggles my mind now but I've done the research.
Sometimes you don't eat breakfast. So.
Oh, what's breakfast, right?
Oh yeah, what's the important meal of the day?
Yeah, precisely. I mean, if you're not eating 6 or 7 times a day, your metabolism is going to break.
Oh, you're ruining your metabolism. Absolutely.
Right. So yeah, we get all that, but we would like more of our family members to take advantage of it because they've got autoimmune
Yes.
diseases just like we do, and I would like for them to get some relief. But the best we can do, I think, is to be that example, like you're talking about.
Exactly. Right. Absolutely. And I'm just hoping. Yeah, I have a lot in my family. I mean, they're diabetics. I mean, bad. It's just not good. And there's depression. There's heart issues, high blood pressure. There's so much of that. And it makes me sad, but you can't, shove it down somebody's throat and try to force them to do it because it's not going to work. They have to be ready to make that change. And I mean, I get it because I was there too.
Well, we all have to have our why. Right. We have to have our why as to why we're doing this. And I know in my case, the why, I mean, don't get me wrong. I had tried many times and had succeeded and failed at losing weight like you had. But the final why was when I went to the doctor, last year, and she said, you're going to have to go on insulin.
It scared me.
Right. Yeah. And I'm like, no. Yes. Okay. This is where I'm drawing the line in the sand. I'm going to go from what I've been doing to I found out about this keto thing. I'm going to give that a shot. And so that was my why. And so things like from being no longer pre-diabetic, actually diabetic, to now turning that around and having an A1C of 5.1 within a very short period of time, is to me proof in the pudding. Where I had, I had 5 cardiovascular disease risks, all 5 of them, and now I have 1/2 of 5 now, right? And that's just because I'm
sounds
still
like me.
right. That's the only one I have is because I'm still technically obese, right? So I'm 9 pounds away from no longer being obese.
Oh, that's exciting.
Right? Isn't that great? So that's
exciting. Yes.
So that's one of those things. Once I can get through that, then I can say now I've mitigated all of my cardiovascular risks. What have you done with your diet?
Yeah, exactly. Results don't lie. That's the thing. And I had a similar, come to Jesus if you want moment with my health. I had some major health issues, and this is part of my journey thing. But I hid it from my husband. Like how I must have been darn good at acting, but like it got to the point where this is so ridiculous. During the day, I would drop off my daughter at gymnastics. She trained early in the day, and I would come home and try to do some errand, some chores around the house, just to clean the cat box. We're talking a little scooper in the bag, not that difficult, right? Not that heavy duty lifting or anything, just doing the scooping. I had to lay on the couch for at least an hour to get my heart rate and my the feeling of my head about to pop off my shoulders to go away. And I would do that, and so I allowed myself enough time before my husband came home to witness this, because I didn't want to admit to myself that I had an issue. I knew
I have a similar aversion to cats. Oh, it's a different thing.
For sure. But it just finally came to a head when I went to a writers conference, and we ended up my husband took me up there so I didn't have to like park a car or whatever in those expensive lots in Dallas. And we had to park way down the hill, and we had to walk up the hill, and I was that weight right there, and so I'm having to try to not show that I'm about to pass out and die, and because I didn't want my husband to know.
Right.
And why? I think it was just because I knew he would force me to confront the issue, and I didn't want to admit the issue. So anyway, by the time I got up to the hill, oh my God, I thought I was going to die. I really did. We got on the elevator, and I'm trying to like hide the fact that I want to go like this. And so I'm in there going like this so he wouldn't notice. And I'm just like, okay, that's ridiculous. Anyway, I finally admitted it, and he was like, no, you're going to the doctor. Okay, fine. So I go to the doctor. And when the nurse took my blood pressure, her eyes got really big, and she was like, I need you to lay back, and we're going to call the doctor in. But first we need to hook you up to the little heart monitoring thing. And I'm like, what in the heck? And they were like, but we need you to be calm. And I'm like, oh my God, am I dying or what? Yeah. And apparently my blood pressure was so high, they were like about ready to go ahead and admit me straight into the hospital. That's how bad it was.
Wow.
But they gave me some medication right there, and they said if it didn't go down within 30 minutes, I would be going to the hospital. Anyway, I ended up, it went down enough to where I was able to go home, but it was terrifying.
Right.
To think that I let it go for so long, because I did, and I knew it. Anyway, I had to go see a cardiologist, and that's when I was put on the 3 medications with the diuretic, and it was this big mess, But and then of course I had literally a year of bad health. It was one thing after another. There was unexplained bleeding. I was like extremely iron deficient. They were going to admit me to the hospital to get a transfusion. And if I didn't get my iron up within, a short period of time. And then I found out I was pre-diabetic, and I was a mess. I mean, when the doctor came in to just, tell me all this, I just started bawling. And I was like, it's because I'm fat, right? It's because I'm fat. And the doctor's like, honey, no, okay, let's not even do that, you know. And he was trying to calm me down, and all I could think of is this horror thing that I now have to admit I'm fat. And I am unhealthy. And for whatever reason, that's just something my mind couldn't go to. And it took that breaking point for me to do something. And that's when I decided to really jump on it and get with a diet program. But of course, I did the low fat, the low calorie, the exercise, 2 to 5 hours every day. Well, every day for 6 days out of the week. And I did back-to-back classes. I went to 4 different gyms, and I did this for a good year.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost 100 pounds. Yay, good for me, right? Well, it came to that point where I was like, I can't do this the rest of my life. My goodness. If I have
totally
to
unsustainable.
increasing that exercise because my body gets used to it, and you know, you have to keep adding more and doing this, I'm like, when I'm 70 years old, if I don't drop dead, I'm going to be in the gym literally every minute of every day for the rest of my life, you know, and I can't do that. And
that's not living, right?
No, and it freaked me out in my head. And then I was like, I felt so deprived watching my friends get to eat what they wanted. I didn't even care if it was like an obese person eating. I was jealous of that obese person, you know, eating that food, because I was like, oh, they're so lucky. But my mind was so set that this is what I had to do. And I'm one of those all or nothing kind of people. And I wouldn't allow myself there. I didn't cheat. I didn't, you know, miss exercise. Oh no, not for that year. And I didn't drink. You know, the whole gamut. And I watched all my friends get to do this, and I was jealous. Even my overweight friends, you know, I'm like, I'm so jealous of them. And that sounds crazy, right? But I was.
Well, what's weird is you're kind of, you know, I don't know how much you're exercising now. If you're probably not killing yourself like you were, but
a little bit of nothing.
Right. But and the thing is you're not purposely being very strict. You're just eating really good food, so you don't have those cravings for that other stuff, right? I think that's really the difference. Is you now get the ability to eat until you're full.
Yes.
And you're not saying, okay, well, I can only have this size of a portion. I have to have, you know, 400 calories per meal, et cetera, et cetera. You can just eat until you're full. And so you don't feel deprived. And I think that's a big
deprivation. Absolutely. That is one of the biggest things for me, is that I don't really care about food. I'm not, like, again, I enjoy my food. It's not that. It just doesn't control me. So you know, I can watch my family if they're eating bread, like, you know, Texas Roadhouse, they have that really yummy bread with that cinnamon butter, right? I don't care. It can sit right up in my face, and that smell can be all up in, you know, and I'm good with it. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. And, you know,
I'd rather eat cardboard now than bread, because it'd probably be less damaging, right?
No kidding.
And it looks just as appetizing now. I mean, bread to me is no longer a big deal.
It's not.
But it's not something that happens overnight. That's something that, you know, that takes months to get over that craving. And I know that if I took a bite of that bread, I'd probably be heading down that highway again, right? So
very possible. Many people, yes.
So I have no desire to go back there. So if I don't eat it, I don't miss it, right?
Take the bread away.
Yeah, we always do that too.
Don't even bring it.
And, you know, being from Texas, you know, the Tex-Mex, that's my favorite food ever.
Sure.
And so we still go to Tex-Mex restaurants. My favorite is Chuy's, and I'll get the pulled pork nachos. And this is how I order. I say no chips, no beans, no butter. and by the way, don't give us any chips. And they're like, now
so you want pulled pork.
Yeah, I mean, the looks we get is really funny, especially like when you say, oh, no bread at a steak restaurant. They're like, okay.
I'm starting to see more and more that the people are not giving me weird looks anymore.
Yeah, I think it's becoming more common, not common, but more.
It is. I think it actually is. I mean, we went to Beef O'Brady's here a while back, and so Shauna ordered, you know, wings, and I ordered their big burger. I said no bun, and she goes, "Oh, so you want some broccoli with butter too?" I'm like, "Okay."
Oh, good.
So
nice.
It is starting to,
That's
to
really
catch on. And that's here in Florida, so I'm not sure.
That's
But I'm sure
awesome.
it's starting to catch on.
Well, Texas, hello, bread and
Mm.
chips. I mean, that's
Mm.
the thing here,
Sure.
but, where we go, the Chewies, they kind of know us now. They're just kind of, no big deal. They
Right.
didn't really, think much about it. But now what's funny is because I'm going more carnivore, I don't get the sides. If I get a side, it's a side of salmon. Or
Right.
some places like Trudy's in Austin will let you have bacon.
Right.
Even at night. And that's what I did last night. I had the beef fajitas, plain beef fajitas, just the beef, and bacon, 3 sides of bacon.
Yeah.
It was really crispy. It was
Great.
really yummy. And then I looked at my husband after I ate the last piece of bacon, and I'm like, just kind of looking at my plate, and he goes, "Do you need more bacon?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think I kind of do." So
Amber, are you eating eggs still at all, or?
I am, yes. I
Yeah.
eat eggs every day.
Mhm.
I haven't really felt the need that I've never had an issue with eggs, but who knows? I may, phase that out and just see what happens.
Yeah, if you're still having problems with the rosacea, that might be something you can tweak, right?
Very well could be, yes.
Yeah, and I don't, I'm fortunate that I don't have a problem with eggs. I don't have a problem with dairy, but the only dairy that we really eat or have
cheese.
is a little bit of cheese and a little bit of heavy whipping cream in our coffee.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like we're drinking milk and eating yogurt and those type of things.
Yeah,
Really,
same here.
pretty small amounts anyway.
I'll have a little bit of cheese. I'm talking a little bit of cheese.
Mm-hmm.
I do have some heavy whipping cream still.
Right.
I do eat eggs. But as I'm ever evolving, and the more I learn, the more I try, and I may, do without eggs for a while and then add it back in and see what happens, because that's the best way, because carnivore is an elimination diet, really.
Right. Well, even keto is, if you think about it. I mean, it's just a bit higher level. Carnivore is nothing but a subset. It's still keto. It's just it's a little bit different subset of it. And I would say that in our case, we're probably 80% carnivore ourselves. We'll go several days without eating any vegetables, and then one day we'll maybe have a side of broccoli or green beans or something. But I still consider it carnivore, because I think if you're getting like more than 80% of your nutrition from meat products, I still think it counts. I think it really.
I do too, but I'm really careful about that, because you have so many people who are so hardcore, and
I'm not going to let people label me, right? I mean, I don't think that they have the permission to label what I am.
I would agree with you.
And basically, even tigers eat grass, right? So I mean, there is no such thing as 100% carnivore any more than there's a thing as 100% vegan.
And dogs eat
doesn't
grass
exist,
too.
right? And there's no reason to try to pigeonhole yourself into into a particular label. It's just more a matter of here's how I eat. I eat real food, and
exactly.
I even label it as a meat-centric keto. Is kind of how I put it, right?
I kind of call it ketovore or carnivore keto. That's
right.
where I figure I like fit in,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that's fine. And if one day I want to have some broccoli or whatever, it's nobody's business. And it's still, I'm not. There's no way in the world I'm getting anywhere near 20 grams of carbs.
Yeah,
by having a broccoli or a green bean here or there. So I mean, I'm still within the protocol that I need, and I'm still able to help out the people that we have in our groups and say, look, we can do this 20 grams. It's no big deal, and there's no reason you can't as well. And if you aren't, it's because you're probably doing this net carb thing.
Yeah,
and overreaching, right?
So I did that too.
Sure.
My net carbs were pretty low. I mean,
right.
It still was under 20 total carbs, still. But I did do that. Now I quite frankly don't care, because I don't
You're adapted.
Where are my carbs coming from? Eggs, and occasionally, and I haven't really eaten much cheese lately, just every once in a while. So, I mean, where are my carbs coming from? Spices. I can't give up my spices.
It's pretty insignificant. I mean, you're definitely under the threshold, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But I think that's why the total is important, because if you think of it in total, that does account, because you're going to have accidental carbs like in spices and things like that, and heavy whipping cream. So it's really better to be kind of strict to yourself about it on everything else that you can control,
Yes,
because there are a
exactly.
lot of things you can't control. And so I think as long as you're in that window, you're pretty good. Yeah, I think you're
That's what I think, and it's worked for
Mhm.
me.
Sure.
I mean, you know,
So
everybody's different.
let's talk a little bit about body dysmorphia.
Oh, yeah,
So, I know that I've faced this issue, and I'm sure you do too, that
absolutely.
I
you
definitely
still
do.
see yourself as not who you look like now. So can you talk about that a little bit and how you've
Oh,
dealt with it?
absolutely. Starting from a very young age, I had a body image issue because when I was about 10 years old, I started putting on just a little bit of weight, nothing bad, but I
Mhm.
also started to develop.
Mm.
And, it made me a little bit different than my typical classmates, and I got made fun of. And
Mm.
so,
Mm.
my body issue, from that point on, I was kind of embarrassed about my body. And
Right.
I wanted to, hide certain places. And by the time I was in seventh grade, I was pretty good developed, I mean, I'm only 5'2". And so, my size on somebody else would not be that big of a deal, but on me, it's pretty pronounced. But, and then I went through high school the same way. And oh my goodness, high school, I look back at pictures and I'm like, man,
Mhm.
I would be rocking that body so hard now,
Right.
And back then I thought, oh, good gosh, I look like some deformed whatever,
Right.
But now I realize that a lot of the teasing or the comments I got was probably jealousy, I'm guessing, because it was from girls. It wasn't guys. No, guys were fine with that, and that kind of followed me all through high school. And by the time I was in a junior, I was a full blown bulimic
Mhm.
and had anorexic, also tendencies. I know that kind of sounds opposite of each other, but trust me, I
They
mean,
kind of
No,
go hand
an
in
eating
hand
disorder things
sometimes.
go hand in hand for sure.
yeah.
No doubt.
And I struggled with that. And Shauna, I think, our story is kind of similar in the fact that I had met my husband when I was 15, like I said. And honestly, if it wasn't for him, I don't know where I'd be, because he uh, found out, and that was kind of awful. I mean, how disgusting, right? Your
Mm.
boyfriend finds out you puke your food, that's gross. And so that was kind of a hard thing for me. But what was even worse is he said if I didn't deal with this issue, which of course he was going to help me, he was going to go to my mom. Well, whatever reason, that was more terrifying and horrifying than dealing with the issue at hand. Anyway, with his help, I was able to kind of move out of that. And I'm not saying it didn't kind of stay with me in that, urge or that, you know what I'm saying. You know where I'm going with that. But I did get over it. And for a while, I was at a pretty decent weight. Like when we got married, I was, at a decent weight. And it wasn't until right before having kids, I kind of started to put on a little bit of weight. And then I got pregnant, and it was not the pregnancy. It was not that at all,
Mm.
because I only gained 5 pounds with my daughter. And then, lost 11. So I was a little bit lighter after pregnancy. Anyway, through that whole period of time, I started gaining weight. And I know, looking in the mirror, but I avoided the mirror because I knew what was in that mirror. And it got to be more and more disgusting to look in the mirror and horrifying. And I didn't want to admit that I looked like that. And, I became a recluse, kind of like what I said, for about, 20 years. I kind of didn't really do much in public because it was embarrassing. I didn't want to dress up. I didn't, feel like I had the right to, go out and live life, because I was this, I don't know, this creature that I didn't even know. It
Mm.
didn't match the inside of my body. And
Saying that.
it got to the point where, and this is kind of a horrible story, but my kids gave me a gift they were really proud of. It's kind of like a heart necklace like this, kind of, and they were really proud of it.
Mm.
And it was expensive. And later I told my husband, I was like, take it back. Take it back.
Mm.
I'll never wear it. And my husband was like, why? And I said, because it's like putting lipstick on a pig. Why would you spend all that money to decorate this?
I
You
understand.
know, and
There.
that's, that's a struggle I had, is this is outside of my body just was not cooperating with the person I was inside. And,
Right.
you know,
one thing that makes me really sad now is when I see, this, I understand why, but this fat acceptance movement out there that people, I know they don't really mean it. They can't be satisfied with
yeah,
where they are, right? But yet that seems to be the drive that, and sadly it's because they don't really understand that it really isn't impossible to no longer be obese, right? You don't have to stay there.
yeah.
But either the addiction is so strong or the motivation to, I don't really understand it, but it's really saddens me when I see
Yeah.
things like that.
I'm so sure that this is great. Why would you not want to be this if you can?
Well, because people don't know they can be, for one thing, right? I mean, that's
They've
one of the
given
things
up.
that we're doing, right? That's one of the things that's most important to you and to us.
We gave up for a while.
Yeah, we had the same problem because of that yo-yo stuff. We eventually said, well, I guess it's just never going to happen. But then we started using this way of eating, and it worked, and it always
Without
works,
effort,
right?
or without much effort.
Yes, that's what I keep. I hate to say effortless, but
Right.
really, as y'all probably know,
Mm-hmm.
comparing it to what you used to do compared to how you're eating now and being satisfied and not having those cravings, it's kind of effortless.
Right. Well, we were both runners, right? So while we were vegetarians for 3.5 years, we were running. I was running 25 to 30 miles a week.
Wow.
And I, again, would lose from some and then would gain it back and would get injured, right? So I couldn't run for a while. Then I would gain it all back and I'd start running again, lose a little bit. So, I mean, it was just really, really, just like you were spending your time in the gym, I spend my time on the road.
Yeah.
And that's just not sustainable. Eventually, it's like,
It's just not. Especially when you're getting older. I'm going to be 53 in July. And it's like, how can you keep doing this? And that became such a frustration for me when the reality set in that I can't keep adding more to this. No way. I'm doing all I can. I just can't do anymore. I'm
right.
just done. I'm done,
Yeah, I can't remember who it was that said, but you can't run away from a bad diet.
No, and I totally get that.
It's absolutely true. I mean, and the thing is, you can eat 500 calories in 30 seconds, but it takes hours to burn off 500 calories,
and
right?
even that, it doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't work
your body, the math, that's all great and dandy, but the math does not translate that way. It just doesn't.
Your metabolism works differently.
Your hormones, your everything. It just, if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're stressed, there's way too much going into that equation. It's not simple math. It's just not. And to me, I always thought it should be simple math. They say a pound is 3,500 calories. Well, okay, easy enough. I'll burn that. But it just doesn't translate.
No, it doesn't. And that's where that Biggest Loser study comes into play. They actually proved it, right? That when you are trying to restrict calories and you are killing yourself physically, your metabolism slows way down.
Oh, yeah.
Your body adjusts.
Right.
Yes, it has to, because it's trying to, protect the body. And so, of course, it's going to do that, but that's not something that we were taught.
No, that's what you're
now know
to do, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Move more.
Yeah, I mean was the big deal, and we've been there. We've done all that. It didn't work for us. It doesn't work for anybody.
No, it really doesn't.
There are a subset of people that does work for a while.
Yeah. Well, it worked for me, kind of.
Yeah.
Until I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah. If you can sustain it, you can do it. But I think that's the problem, right? It's just
that is the huge problem. And I'm sorry, I think we got a little bit sidetracked on the dysmorphia. I think y'all wanted to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, how are you still having to deal with that?
Yeah, actually I am. The reason why I agreed to be on this podcast, honestly, it's kind of a growth thing for me. I now, and this has been, I've been keto 2 years and I've lost, like I said, I've been maintaining over a year now. And I can look in the mirror now and I put on my cute clothes and I'm like, you know what? I kind of look good. Okay, yay. And that's huge for me. Huge. I can't tell you how huge that is. For me to go shopping to buy clothes is huge. Anyway, but when I look at myself in photos, yeah, I go,
Yeah.
oh, good gosh. Do I look like that?
I
My
have the
husband's
same.
like, yeah, that's you. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm fat. And he's like, what are you talking about? That is you. You're beautiful. And I'm like, no, don't show that picture, you know? And it's even worse on video, you know? And so for me to do this is huge because I'm not sure I'm going to be able to watch this video, to be honest, because I'll probably freak out.
From an outsider looking at you, you are absolutely gorgeous.
You don't look your age.
Please.
You look,
Thank you.
But I do
you
understand where you're
hot
coming
grandma.
from. I do understand. I mean, even with each other, if we take a picture of each other, we still ask, "Can I post this?" Because
oh yeah,
I mean, we still have this.
We both
within
have
us.
issues.
absolutely,
We both have issues.
absolutely.
And it's hard to get on video for us every week too. Well, especially for me.
Yeah, when we do it, we've disciplined ourselves that we do it every Sunday. We have our Coffee with Keto Mojo Go on Facebook Live, and we do it every Sunday at noon. And part of that is so we were able to go back and watch our old videos and see our progress, right? And it is pretty amazing.
I love that. That's a great idea.
And we get to talk with other people, and
if I can
create
inspire
a topic.
one person,
Yeah, see, that's my
it's all worth it.
Yes, if just one, if I can help one person not to have to go through that 40 years of crap that I did, to me it's worth it. I wouldn't wish what I dealt with on my worst enemy if I had one.
Right.
I just no matter how much I dislike somebody, I would never. I would help them because that to me is so horrible. I mean, okay, it's not as bad as some things. There could be worse things, but I mean, 40 years of misery. Come on.
Right. Yeah. Hey, that's a good segue. So for people that are just starting out on low carb, high fat, keto, carnivore, whatever they choose to go with. I mean, all of them are low carb, low carb for sure. What are some things? How can they best get started?
My number one thing, honestly, if you want to get serious about it, and let's face it, this has to be a lifestyle. It just has to. So you need to know what you're getting into. You need to understand it from a hormonal perspective, from what it is that you need to do. So research is absolutely imperative. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Figure out what's going to work for you. I can't tell you what to do. I can guide you and tell you what I did, but just because if you follow every step I did, that may not work exactly the same way with you. So you need to do your research and understand what can happen. The other thing I think is very important is to do it progressively. I really feel this is very important. I think people try to jump in, and especially before they even do the research, they just jump in with both feet, and then they're like, this diet doesn't work for me. I can't do this. Well,
they're not doing it right.
Yeah, well, they feel like crap. One thing, right? If they get in there and they get, they don't have enough electrolytes, and they've just gone from 300 carbs a day to 20 carbs a day. Exactly. That's going to cause some withdrawal symptoms. There's no doubt.
That's a recipe for failure as far as I'm concerned. And I understand. I think if you start with the basics, the things I mean, come on, this, to like get rid of the white stuff, the beige and sugar, processed foods, that. So start there. And that's amazing how much you can do right there.
Sugary drinks.
Pay attention to your electrolytes there too, of course. But if you just kind of gradually start cutting more and more and more, and then move into keto, and then if keto, just naturally does like what it did for me, where I kind of didn't really have much of an appetite, go for intermittent fasting. I think it's phenomenal. Do your research on that too, though, and understand how it works and the right way to do it, and if you're ready for it. And then, if there's still some things, maybe a few pounds you need to drop, maybe you still have some issues that haven't healed, consider carnivore. So if you just kind of do this, progressively, It's not a race. It's just not a race. I understand most people, let's get real, go into it to lose weight. I did too. So I get that. But honestly, that is just a little side benefit.
Right.
I mean, if you just stick with it and give it a good shot and progressively ease into it, it's not that difficult. It really isn't. And you're gonna find you feel so much better. And then the weight loss is awesome. It is absolutely awesome. But you start to realize that that's secondary.
Right.
Because, you have the ability to no longer be diabetic. How many people have been told that it's not reversible? You're on insulin the rest of your life, baby. That is messed up. I'm not saying there aren't people who that may happen to. I'm not a doctor. I mean, I'm sure there are. But as you know, we've seen results time and time and time again. I'm one, granted, I was never full-blown diabetic. But, we see too many results and stories that we know it can be reversed for most people, type 2 anyway. And that's huge.
Yeah,
That is
it's actually
of life.
Even if it's not reversed, I think Dr. Westman's research, like 98% of the people were reduced down to almost no insulin, right?
Exactly.
80% were complete into remission, eventually reversal.
That's huge.
But
Aren't we told that once you're diabetic, whoopsie?
Right. Right. And he's got, I think, 60,000 patients he's done this with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, this is not a trivial amount of people.
No, it's not.
So,
and more doctors are starting to come around, I think. I mean, as some of the good doctors out there, Jason Fong and Dr. Ken Berry and, all of them. And
yeah, you had your picture taken with him the other day. I saw Dr. Ken Berry. It was awesome.
He was on my bucket list to get to meet Dr. Berry. I just love him. I think he has so much to offer, and he's so down to earth, and he used to be one of those doctors
too.
Yes, and it was really cool to get to meet him, and yeah, that was big for me.
So okay. So let's segue into the next thing, and that would be, so you've had these amazing results, so have we. What do you say to the naysayers who say keto is dangerous or it's unsustainable?
That's what I say. I say results do not lie. Right. I am no longer pre-diabetic. I'm almost off all of my blood pressure medicine. Well, we're getting there. And I no longer have acid reflux. Oh my gosh, I am
That's huge.
life. That is the hugest thing. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I'm motivated. I'm, enthusiastic about life in general.
You're looking at 25.
Yeah. And to the naysayers, have you done your research? Have you really, have you tried it? Honestly, doing it the right way? I mean, results don't lie. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, I hear you. And like I said, we've got family members and people that are naysayers, and I think there's a couple camps there, right? There's some that are just afraid because they've tried other things and it didn't work. There's other that have listened to the medical community that say, well, that's dangerous. You can't do that. And so they don't want to jump into it. But I think that we're at a tipping point now where there's enough people that have shown results that have been able to, I post my lab results all the time, right? Because like, for example, I used to be on Humira for ankylosing spondylitis, right? So that's an injectable, which is an immune suppressant drug, right? It's very harsh.
Wow.
Within a few weeks, I was able to get off of that. And so I'm like, well, here's this. All of my autoimmune disease is in remission. What do you got? Her lupus is in remission. So what have you got that can do this? Was I either going to have to stay on all these meds? And by the way, Humira makes you gain weight too. And all these other side effects of these meds that we no longer have to deal with.
Plaquenil does too.
Yeah, Plaquenil. I mean, there's just
medication I was on.
So many side effects that make you sun sensitive, everything else. Not telling people to stop taking medications, right? Because that's you have to work with your doctor on that.
Right. Exactly.
That's what.
And as your symptoms get better and you can kind of prove it out, you can back off you can work with your doctor.
Absolutely.
There is no other way of eating that does that I've seen. I've seen some vegans claim that the vegan diet claims that they do that. But when I look at the vegan community, they don't look healthy.
No, I agree. I mean, I again, I'm not a doctor. I haven't done their blood tests or anything, but yeah.
There's a lot going on there that does not look healthy. And mainly it's probably because they're not getting enough protein. They're not getting the nutrients they need. In some ways, they're probably better than the standard American diet because they're not eating processed foods so much.
Absolutely, sure.
A lot of them do still, though. They eat, the smoothies and the
vegan bars and the vegan cakes and this and that.
Yeah, it can't be. I mean, if you think about it, the Pop-Tart's vegan.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So,
I mean,
So yeah, but getting off the standard American diet is going to help you in a lot of ways.
Yes.
And I'm not opposed to if somebody they're opposed to eating meat and they want to be a vegetarian. Okay, that's fine. If that's what works for you, great.
Yeah, I get it.
But in my case, I did that for 3.5 years, and I didn't get better. Right, I was continuously getting worse. And so now, as a meat-centric or a meat-centric ketovore, I feel much better. I more energy. Even my neck straightened out. Right, I took a picture of myself a year ago until now, and my neck was like crunched down because the ankylosing spondylitis was pushing my. I was so inflamed, and I took a picture of myself.
Have a big old hump.
Yeah, I had a hump on my back, which I don't have.
Oh.
So
you don't have that at all anymore?
I don't know. Do I?
No.
Gone.
Wow, that's amazing.
Right. So yeah, tell me that this doesn't work because I've got my own results. I've been called some of the vegetarian. You're a liar. You didn't really do that. I said, well, really? Well, here's the pictures of my refrigerator. Here's the pictures of all the meals we were eating. Oh, and by the way, here's my logs when I was running every week.
Documented everything.
Because I was like you. I was very serious about it. Right? Yeah.
Ourselves.
I was on Facebook or whatever saying, here's what I did this week. Here's what I did this time. Here's what we're eating. So I was very committed to doing that. Always have been in that. And it didn't work. So
we didn't keep it off.
We didn't keep it off. It worked temporarily, but we couldn't keep it off.
Exactly. Yeah.
And had to work hard to get it off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But every time you do that, right? So you lose it. It comes back on. How much more frustrating it is every time.
So frustrating.
To lose the same 20 pounds.
If I didn't do that 2 to 5 hours of exercise 6 days a week, every day kind of thing, the scale would start creeping up right away. And it's like, oh my gosh, I can never take a break.
Right.
And that thought is scary, just scary. And it was like, I was to the point when I had or fat had been vilified so much and I bought into it that you would not even believe. I cut out almost every bit of fat. You know how hard that is to do?
Yes.
This girl did it. And when I would log my food and I would go into my personal trainer, she would look at my food. And there was one day she grabbed me by the shoulders and she said, girl, you have to eat some fat. You have to. Mm-hmm. My hair was falling out. Sorry about that. My phone rang. But she said, I don't know what to do with you because I had it in my mind. Oh God, no fat in my mouth. No, I can't do it. And again, it's probably that whole eating disorder mentality, right? Mm-hmm. And, or so my husband says, and she said, eat a freaking candy bar, something, anything. And she goes, I have never said that to a client before. What are you doing to me? And she was seriously worried about me because I had cut out so much. And I was like, no, I can't eat any fat because I will gain weight. You don't understand. I will gain weight. And she's like, oh, no. And I was eating like about 800 calories a day. Yeah. Yeah. That's why you're losing hair. You were not getting the nutrition you need for sure. Terrible. It was just terrible. My skin was all crazy and scaly and stuff. It was bad. It was just bad.
Well, I'm glad you are no longer in that camp.
No.
In the happy camp now of living the human diet. We're putting
human diet according to Kim Berry. Yep.
The human appropriate diet. That's really what it's all what we're all happy about, and we want to see other people do.
Yes.
Food should not be stress, right? What you're eating every day, this should be a very easy thing to do. Because our grandparents, our great grandparents didn't walk around with MyFitnessPal. They weren't counting their fat grams. They weren't doing any of this. They were just eating normal, meat and vegetables, right? There was no
And they, for the most part, only ate like 2 meals a day, and they didn't snack either.
right.
You know, and they didn't have all of that processed food laying around all day. You
Like
know,
garbage.
huge
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah. All right. So I think we're gonna wrap it up. So what's the best way to find out information about Amber Wentworth? How can people find you?
On Twitter and Instagram, Lone Star Keto Girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have a website that has a beginner's guide, and I spend a lot of time researching and putting that together. It's pretty comprehensive. You know,
Awesome.
agree or disagree with what's in there, but I put a lot of work into it. There's a question and answers section. There's tips, and there's resources, and of course recipes that I'm still working on. And they're keto based, obviously. And there's some desserts and all that, even though I don't.
I
Really
looked at a lot of your recipes. They look delicious.
I'm pretty good. My family approves. You know, I always make sure I don't put anything out there that the family didn't approve of, as well as just me. And you know, like even my kids, you know, they're not keto. They like keto food fine, but you know, they like the other stuff too. So, and we don't force it on them or whatever. I wish they would, but whatever. But you know, so yes, that website is lone-star-keto.com.
All right. Well, then I'll go ahead and put those in the links in the description of the video so people can find you. And it's been an honor to meet you, Amber. This has been a nice conversation. And don't be afraid to watch this video because you are a beautiful.
Oh gosh, I don't know.
You're a hot grandma, and I just want to say
thanks. Thank you very much, and I appreciate
You're an
having me on.
inspiration.
Oh, thank you, and thanks for what y'all are doing too, because I think it's really important to get our stories out there.
Yeah.
And
Well,
y'all are
I'd like to invite you to our Facebook groups too, to be a member of that and contribute
Perfect.
as well, because again, there's a lot of people that need our help.
Your story will inspire others. That's
Well,
for
thank
sure.
you so much for having me. I appreciate it. It was really great
Thank
meeting
you for
y'all.
joining us.
All right. And I'm sure we'll do this again sometime. All right.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Have a good day.